Adam Schefter at ESPN says there's 275,000 people.
Well, that was some party in downtown Detroit. 775,000 people, shattering the NFL draft attendance record.
This is the future. Evolution. This is the future. Evolution.
Hello, hello. What's happening, people? I'm a little extra cheery right now. I know a lot of you are not. But man, does it feel good. I got to tell you, I did not expect it. It did not happen. It's not about being right or wrong. It's about the Detroit Lions doing what they need to do to win a Super Bowl this year and to keep these guys around. Za'Darius Smith has signed with the Eagles. So we expect to see him. We do expect to see him. At some point, we're going to expect to see him. Question is he going to help the Eagles? Now, the Eagles did lose quite a bit of defensive frontline work this year. A lot of players. Lions and Eagles, November 16th. So if Za'Darius Smith is still around, will he try to exact his revenge against the Lions, right? I mean, that's the goal. He's been able to get his revenge against the Bears, the Packers, the Vikings, and now the Lions. Right? The question is, how much did he sign for? Now, I didn't see any information outside of the 32-year-old signed with the Eagles, according to multiple sources today. I'm interested in the contract. I'm really interested in the contract. Looking, I'm trying to find, man. I don't see anything. I don't see anything. Here's what it is. All right, I've been busy today trying to get a lot of stuff done. I wanted to come in tonight and kind of do a little bit of a full recap, not a little bit of anything, a full recap of the day. We got a full article going to kind of get everything laid out, what we need to look forward to this week, or at least for me, my eyes, what I think is important this week. And then, come Monday, we'll talk about it again after we get this big dub in Packerland up in Lambeau. But man, I got to put a nice little bow on this thing with some sprinkles, right? A little bit of whipped cream. I don't know, maybe some Red Hots. No Za'Darius Smith coming to Detroit. Brad Holmes said that he was good. Dan Holmes said that we were good. Or Dan Campbell said that we were good. And Cash Dow said that they were good. Clearly, when Cash Dow put that out, they knew then that Z was going to Philadelphia, guaranteed. I'm seeing reports of 9 million. In the chat, the question is, where are you guys getting that from? It's on X. Where, like from who? That's the biggest thing. You just got to let us know who. I haven't seen anything yet. Is it just speculation from random people, or do we have an actual dollar amount? I see Crunch Time put 9 million. He's saying per Schultz. Let's check out Schultz. I didn't see Jordan Schultz pop up. I never get his alerts, ever. All right, let's see what it is. So that was my call too, right? I said it was going to be $10 million to bring in Za'Darius Smith. I said, even if you brought him in halfway through the season, it was going to cost you $1 million a game. So it's a little over $500,000 a game to bring this dude in. Za'Darius locks it in. Here it is, 1-year deal worth with an upside of $9 million. And Philly adds to its pass rush with Smith. He recorded 9 sacks with the Lions and Browns last year. So worth up to. Maybe it's 4.5 plus 4.5 in bonus. Now there's just no way he's going to be able to replace what Philly lost. And I'm good with that. I'm absolutely good with that. I'm all smiles inside. Look, no love lost with Za'Darius Smith, to be honest with you. But now you can all hate him for going to the Eagles, staying in the NFC. You guys can hate him now. All the people that wanted him. Y'all can hate him now. I got no hate for the guy. Got none. We got to take care of our business either way. Doesn't matter who it is. I don't think that we needed Z. The only thing is the insurance policy, right? That's it. If you suffer some injuries, maybe he would have sat out. He didn't want to sit out. He wanted to play. But I guess it just goes to tell you or show you Brad was not moving off of $10 million. There's no way. Or 9. Or even 6. Whatever it is. He wasn't going to move off of that money. The guys in Detroit right now on this team are more important than anybody else. I went through this multiple times this year. Again this morning. Again last night. Getting in these Twitter wars. Just trying to explain to everybody that just do the math. Just take 10 minutes out of your life, and it's longer than that, but just 15, 20, whatever it takes. Just go do the math. Maybe that's why I'm different. I go and do the math before I even get started for the season. We're getting into free agency. The math has been done about 50 times. From the time that Super Bowl ends and free agency is right around the corner, we're already doing the math. Trying to figure it out. What are the Lions going to be able to do? How many guys are they going to be able to sign? How many are they going to have to let walk? And clearly, it started with Kevin Zeitler. Now, Kevin Zeitler wanted to probably go back home, right? Get closer to home, maybe play his last season. That was at least $10 million. It was too much money. If you're not going to retain an all-pro right guard who had one of the best seasons ever last season, how are you going to go and pay a defensive end on the other side of the football who's 32 years old, same kind of age space here as Kevin Zeitler? It just didn't make sense from day one. And the issue is it was $16 million for Z. For him to stay in Detroit was $16 million. All right, so do the math on Davenport's availability for his career. You're going to have to expand on that. I know you're just trying to be funny, but okay. I'll play this game with you. How about we play this game? Why don't you do the math on Aiden Hutchinson's career so far? He missed an entire season, right? He missed 13 weeks. Well, 12 weeks. How much did that cost the Lions compared to what Davenport cost them? If that's the game you want to play, right? Go that direction. Go dollar for dollar. How much was his contract versus Aiden's? I don't know the number. I've never done it because it's a silly argument, but Davenport not available. You'll see. Davenport was with us for 1 year, but you know what? Here's what I'll say. Davenport wasn't available. Aiden wasn't available. Alex Anzalone wasn't available. Amik Robertson wasn't available. The list goes on, right? Josh Paschal at times. Levo Enrique at times. Derek Barnes the entire season. Malcolm Rodriguez since the Bills game. Ali McNeil since the Bills game. You can't blame anything. You guys are blaming one person. One player. Blaming one player. What about everybody else? Derek Barnes is back on this team. He's only been in the league for 4 years. Then he missed an entire season. So if you're gonna have that argument, make sure you look at all of the rest of the players on the team and how many games they've all missed. Because they've all missed a ton. A ton. It's just a silly argument. You want to blame one person. And like I said on Twitter, man, I hope that Davenport shits in the mouth of everybody that doubted him. And I mean that with all respect. And I'm saying that because I hope that he has the best year of his career and sends this team into the Super Bowl. You know, instead of knocking the dude, do you know how much easier it would be just to support the guy and say, man, I hope you can last this season, because if and when you do, you've heard it from Aiden, from Dan, from Brad, from Taylor, from Gio, and everybody else, how much of a difference maker Marcus Davenport is. That's who I'm going to trust. Beyond anybody else, I'm going to listen to the guys that are going up against him and the guys that are watching him every day in practice. And you know what's funny? I spoke a lot about Davenport after I went to practice. How many times has anybody covering the team daily spoken about Davenport in a positive light after the good days that he had? I'm just curious. I'm curious. How many times this year? It's narrative driving is what it is. You see, if you would hear and read about Davenport and what he did in practice, just like you did with Isaac Tesla, DJ Reed, Terry Arnold, Aiden Hutchinson, Jack Campbell, Derek Barnes, and everybody else, if you would have heard about Marcus Davenport this spring and this summer, you probably wouldn't be beating the drum as hard as you would be. But because certain individuals decide to write about their narrative, that's why you're beating the drum. You're believing in what other people are telling you as opposed to you seeing it for yourself. If you didn't go to practice this year, you shouldn't say anything, honestly. Go to practice if you can and go watch. And then evaluate, right? Otherwise, everyone just listens to what everyone's writing. That's the problem with this country, is that you're listening to a handful of people that are telling you everything, and then you have to make up your own mind about it, right? You still have to make up your own mind, but if someone continues to tell you every single day that they get on a mic or get behind a piece of paper and say, Davenport sucks, Davenport's not healthy, Davenport won't last year, if Davenport will last year, he'll, you know what I mean? If you continue to drive that and drive it, what do you think's going to happen? If I woke up every single day and I started looking at the sky and I said, man, that sky looks black today and it's bright blue. And I woke up every day and I said that, man, it looks black today. At some point, I'm going to believe that it's black. It's how your mind works. So if someone tells you something every single day, at some point, you're going to believe it's true. What did I miss? I missed something. Let me get it in there. Let me get into the chat. All right, William Rourke says, imagine Hutchinson and Za'Darius as bookends. I don't need to, because I've already seen Marcus Davenport and Aiden Hutchinson as bookends. I think a lot of people forget what Za'Darius is not. He is not a 3-down defensive end. He's not. And Marcus Davenport doesn't need to be, and he's not really a 3-down defensive end either. He's in there to shut down the run game, opposite of Aiden. So if you can't run towards Davenport, and that's where you're probably going to run towards, and you're not going to be able to do it, and Aiden is the guy that can get free, your defense is in good shape. All right, where's Brent Lighton's comment? I missed it. I don't know if you want to repeat it. I just missed what you said. Trey says, say that louder, Brent. I missed it. Oh, here we go. People don't believe their own eyes. Just what others tell them to believe. Yeah. It's crazy. It's freaking crazy. I don't understand it. I mean, both, like, I could stand next to somebody and I could watch Terry and Arnold get an interception. I'm going to go wild with this one. It's just going to be off the cuff, right? I could watch Terry and Arnold get an interception. You could watch Terry and Arnold get an interception. And then I say, you know what? That looked like DJ Reed over there. That was DJ Reed. He got the interception. I promise you that was DJ Reed. It wasn't Terry and Arnold. You're not looking at replay, but I've told you so many times that it was DJ Reed that you're going to believe me. But you saw it with your own eyes. You saw who got it. I know it's a poor example, but you get the point. The point is nobody will believe anything these days. Even if you do see it, you won't believe it. You'll find a way to talk yourself out of believing in something. It is kind of deep about sports there, nothing to see. It is kind of deep because this has a lot of meaning to a lot of fans, man. Lions fans, we're ready. We're here. It's Super Bowl 60. It's Super Bowl 60. And it's our time. It is our time. It's Detroit's time. And so it does matter. And it is that deep because the narrative driving in this country, the narrative driving in the city that has been hurting for so long and wanting for so long, just can't get out of their own way. Go support the dudes, man. Just go support them. If you're proven right, you're proven right. If they prove you wrong, which I hope they do, I expect them to, then that just means that you're winning. You're winning, right? If Davenport goes out and crushes it this year and plays in 14 out of 17 games and then is healthy for the playoffs, you're winning. You're not losing. You're winning. The dude's getting paid less than $2 million, and he's a former first-round pick. We'll see what Za'Darius is able to do. We'll see. For the Eagles, it's a stacked defense. It's a pretty damn good defense. Didn't they lose somebody last night? Didn't the Eagles have an injury like on the first play? I thought they did. I thought they had another injury during the game. I wonder if this is also a move. I wonder if there's going to be any repercussions for Jalen Carter. Like an NFL, I mean, could the NFL be suspending him too? I wonder if there's a possibility for that, and that's where the Eagles are maybe trying to get ahead of this. I don't know. I haven't heard anything. I have no clue. But I could have sworn that the Eagles had a major injury last night. Landon Dickerson. That's who it was. Landon Dickerson. Let's see. I know he's on the offensive line. And I thought there was another guy on the kickoff. I don't know. I don't remember now. All right, big shout out to Michael Garrett. He says, our Lions will win the Super Bowl this year. I've waited my entire life for this season. Shout out to the Rockhound family. F the Packers. I'm right there with you, man. Let's get into some Packers conversation since we're in here. Obviously, we're going to talk about Za'Darius Smith for just a moment. Here's how I'm going to wrap it up in the tight little bow here. It is what it is. So what up, though, Detroit? Let's go get it on, right? The season's going to be here for us in about 48 hours. Literally, well, 47 and a half hours, roughly. It is going to be game one in Lambeau. Detroit Lions traveling for week one, opening up the season on the road, and I'm ready. I don't know about you guys, but I'm ready. I don't care if we have Za'Darius Smith. I don't care who's out there on the other end. We have enough with just Aiden Hutchinson. And I think people forget that. There's not a whole lot of teams in the league that you can say have as good of a defense that the Lions have. They're in very, very, very good shape. One of the deepest teams in the league. And matter of fact, you heard, or maybe you didn't. Got to switch out these. You got new ears, and they just don't fit right just yet. You heard J-Mo. Maybe you didn't hear J-Mo. He was talking about the defensive backs. I don't know if this was today or yesterday, but he was talking. It might have been today. He was talking about the defensive backs and how he thought that Terry and Arnold too was, having a big year. But he asked, he said overall, he felt like our defense is the best defense in the league. He feels that good about it. And you can tell there's a big change in J-Mo this year. There's a big change in him, man. I loved how he said that Isaac Tesla was one of his favorites right now. He probably shouldn't have said that, but he said Isaac Tesla was one of his favorites. So I'm ready, man. Look, if our guys have this much confidence, why shouldn't we? Right? Every year, I mean, you know what you have or you don't. And if you go to practice and you get an opportunity next year to go to practice, please go and check them out for your own self. And I know it's beyond that because we're not going to see everything, but this year we got to see some joint practices again, and you get a really good idea of who these guys are. You know, Davenport is healthy. He stayed healthy all throughout the offseason, obviously into training camp. He's good. He worked his ass off, man. He worked extremely hard with the trainers all throughout the offseason to get his body right. And he did just that. He's right. He's right as rain, and he's going to show us on opening night. So this Sunday at 4:25, obviously our season kicks off, and there's no looking back. Like, it is what it is. It's going to be a thrilling matchup. Green Bay Packers, Detroit Lions. What a better way, man. There's no better way to open up a season. Packers coming off, 11-6, hosting the Lions in the iconic Lambeau Field. Lions finished 15-2. Both teams are well-rounded, well-coached. It's a highly anticipated game. And so what I'd like to do is kind of go through, I guess, what is shaping to be one of the most significant matchups to start the season. And honestly, as both teams kind of get ready, for Sunday afternoon, let's take a look at their offense and defense for a moment. I'm going to start with the Lions, man. Under head coach Dan Campbell, obviously the Lions have boasted the number one offense the last season and the last couple of seasons. The Lions have been ranked, top 3, top 5 for the last 3 seasons. They also ranked 7th in scoring defense last year, which you guys know is a big mover for me. This defense has to keep teams under 20 points to win a lot of football games. The Lions are looking, obviously, to start the season strong, especially with a challenging road schedule this year. They have to start hot, and they have to finish hot because they open up the first 2 games against division opponents. But they also have some road games like Baltimore, Kansas City, Cincinnati, and others. And Philly. It's going to be a tough season. Now the Packers on the other side, obviously led by Matt LaFleur, they have a young roster. They averaged 27 points last season. They ranked 6th in scoring defense. And this was prior to adding Micah Parsons. Now, with a new CEO at the helm, there's obviously a palpable sense of urgency in Green Bay. They wanted to elevate from merely, having good seasons to now they want to push it all in. All the chips are into the middle of the table now because they done ruined their future, and they brought in exactly what 50% of the Lions fan base wanted. A $47 million edge rusher opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. You could probably say now that the Packers have maybe the second or third best duo out there between Rashawn Gary and Micah Parsons. Potential for second or third, maybe third or fourth, somewhere in that range. But they're one of the few teams that you could say have significant assets on both sides. Here's the problem. How many offenses can you say have legit left and right tackles? Like typically, it used to be your left tackle was the best tackle, and then you line up your best defensive end on the other side to go up against the right tackle. Well, now Panay and a lot of other teams have shored up the right tackle position along with the left tackle. So if you have 2 bookends on the offense, which some teams have, it doesn't matter if you have 2 all-stars because you're going up against, 2 of the best guys in the league. Just depends on which team it is. Depends on which week it is. Now, in the previous matchups, obviously since Dan Campbell's been around, it's not just another game on the schedule for these guys. This game sets the tone, but the division is what Dan Campbell harps about the most. He wants to win every single one of these games. He knows how important it is to have an opportunity to win in the postseason or even show up in the postseason. This is where it begins against your divisional opponents. It may not be a must win or, I guess for both teams, it's probably not really a must win. But at the same time, I think that this win or loss could either provide a significant boost or start a significant downfall for either team. The Lions are obviously looking to reassert their dominance once again in the NFC North. The Packers, on the other hand, they're just trying to tread water and get back to being feared again, which has been several seasons since they were taken seriously. Obviously, the most glaring change is Micah Parsons. So getting into some of the key players to watch on Sunday, Micah Parsons, one of the most talked about players heading into this game. His addition to the Packers defense is expected to make a substantial impact. Whether that's week 1 or by week 4, Micah Parsons will definitely be an impact the next time we meet after week 1. Obviously, fans are eager to see how he performs up against the Detroit Lions. Taylor Decker, Penei Sewell. There's been some big battles between those guys. The loss of Frank Ragnow and 3 new interior players like right guard rookie Tate Ratledge, Graham Glasgow at center, and the second-year left guard Christian Mahogany. It leaves the opportunity for Parsons' 25% pressure rate or pass rush win rate to get after Jared Goff. He's going to be a factor in determining the outcome of this game, assuming that he does suit up, which all signs are pointing that he will. We'll see how these guys can handle it. Now, Detroit Lions, on the other side, Detroit Lions quarterback Jared Goff, it's the other key player to watch in this matchup. Jared Goff's performance under pressure will be a focal point this year again. Now, despite facing significant pressure in previous games, Goff has shown an amazing amount of resilience. The ability to make plays, it's effortless for him. Goff has a strong record against the Packers, 6-2 in his career just with the Lions. His ability to perform under pressure will be pivotal again this season. And the Packers defense will need to find ways to limit the explosives, especially if they cannot generate consistent pressure against the Lions on Sunday night or Sunday afternoon. And, of course, there's Jordan Love. Now, Jordan Love, who is still developing as a starter, and I say still developing because it's only been a couple of seasons for him. He's going to face significant pressure to deliver against what is a sneaky and aggressive defense known as the Detroit Lions. He's been dealing with a thumb injury much of camp. His health and his performance overall, it will be vital for the Packers in this game to have a chance. And yeah, I mean just that, a chance. With Aiden Hutchinson back in the game and Love under pressure, well, that's just an understatement. He's going to be under a lot of pressure. And then you have the ground attack. I couldn't even name one running back. I had to name both. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. The Lions running game will be featuring, obviously, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. It's another critical aspect to monitor in this game on Sunday afternoon. Both players have the potential to really dominate on the ground in this game. Both players have played well in Lambeau. Their success on the ground and in the pass game, I believe, will dictate the flow of this game like it seems to in every game for the Detroit Lions. If the Lions can establish their running game early, it could open up some opportunities for Jared Goff in the passing game, which we know the play action is where Jared Goff does a ton of damage. Here's a Rocks lock for this game. Look for Goff to deliver the first touchdown to Jahmyr Gibbs through the air to get this game started. That's right. Not on the ground. I think it's coming through the air. Again, I think they're going to try to assert their dominance once again and utilize Jahmyr Gibbs in ways that we haven't seen a whole lot. Either way, I'm expecting Jahmyr Gibbs probably to get early action and get that first touchdown. Now, if they get near the goal line, it's probably going to end up going to Montgomery. What did I miss? I'm going to the chat for just a moment. Michael Garrity, I see your message, but I don't know. I did. What did I miss? Something about injuries? See, Parsons just joined the team. There will be an adjustment period. Absolutely. Absolutely. All these people that wanted us to get Smith were probably the same ones wanting us to get Carter. Most likely. Probably. Look, there's nothing against, there's nothing against Za'Darius. Like, I like, you guys know that I like the dude. I was hoping that it was going to wait until after week 1, and then maybe sometime down the line we'd see him as that insurance policy. But I knew it would not be before week 1 for the Detroit Lions. Whether he ended up somewhere else or not, no clue. Am I going to the game on Sunday? No, I'm not. I'm not planning on it right now. We'll see. We'll see. It depends. I had some things happen this week, so just depends. All right, let's get into some of the offensive and defensive matchups. I will get into some more insights into the game here in just a moment. Let's talk about the Packers offense and the Detroit Lions defense for a moment. This matchup, obviously, between the Packers and the Lions, it's intriguing, to say the least. Jordan Love, if he can connect with his new weaponry, well, rookie, I should say, Matthew Golden, could it spell trouble for the Lions if they're able to connect? I don't think so. It's just one person, right? It's just one player. And just about everybody in the Packers offense is dealing with something. I pulled the report earlier. Let's see if I still have it. Jaden Reed has a Jones fracture. He did not participate in practice. I believe that was from today. Dontavian Wicks dealing with a calf strain. Savion Williams dealing with a hamstring. I'd have to go pull I'll have to go pull the injury report from today again to see if any of that's changed. There was something about Romeo Doubs. I think he was fine. Jaden Reed, obviously, is the most concerning case. Been battling this lingering foot issue since training camp. Obviously, with Dontavian Wicks and Savion Williams, newly acquired with the team, both listed as limited. Let me get the injury report here. See if anything's changed. Packers official injury report. Hobbs still has a knee. Reed has a foot. Both of those players are held out, according to this report by PackersNews.com. Zane Anderson still has a knee. Elgton Jenkins has a hip issue, which is, one of the guys they depend on most on that offensive line. Micah Parsons dealing with a back. Baron Sorrell has a knee. Dontavian Wicks with a calf, and Savion Williams with a hamstring. They were listed as limited. Now, if you're listed as limited on a Friday, and it's a Sunday night game or Sunday afternoon game, more than likely the majority of those guys are going to clear and they're going to be ready. Now, the question is, how much are they going to be able to contribute? That'll be the biggest question that's going to get answered on Sunday. So whether or not Matthew Golden can catch fire in a bottle on Sunday and connect with Jordan Love or not, which I'm not expecting to happen. You have DJ Reed and Terry and Arnold going up against a rookie. I expect both of those guys to be able to handle him. But Terry and Arnold has been rumored to have taken a huge leap forward this year in year 2. And DJ Reed is one of the most dominant defensive backs in the league and has been for 4 seasons. Both of those guys playing in front of Kirby Joseph and Brian Branch and adjacent to Amik Robertson are going to give the Packers problems. The Lions' defensive backs are going to be too tough of a matchup this weekend for Jordan Love. Now, the Packers did something last year that they've been doing for a couple of seasons now, but the offensive line, they're definitely going to have to figure out a way to protect Jordan Love and create some running lanes to open up play action. The Packers have used a heavy amount of the RPO to do so. But without the running game, it doesn't work. Here's a side note, in case you guys forgot. The Lions held all opponents, lead running back, under 95 yards per game, dating back to week 16 of 2022. All the way through week 13 of last season when James Cook, I think it's James Cook, Buffalo Bills, he had 105 yards. So if my math is mathing, that's about 705 days that your Detroit Lions defense, the one that needs an extra end and Za'Darius Smith and a $45 million, end, and then God knows what else, how they've been able to contain the run game if they're that bad. Does anyone really understand how hard it is to shut down a team from going 100 yards on the ground for 705 days? The span of 2 seasons? It was almost 2 full seasons. Week 16 of 2022 through week 13 of 2024 is a full season and 15 games. It's crazy. And even when they allowed Cook to go for 105, the week right after that, they started to go right back to where they were. So it was that one blip of a game. Otherwise, the Lions would have continued. Now, collectively, there's been, I think, 7 games in that span that all rushing yards, running back, receivers, and quarterback together had gone over 100 times. I think the number was 7 games. So still 7 out of 32 or 35 games, whatever it is, that's pretty damn good. But we need to go waste $300 million on an end. I'm expecting much of the same here in 2025. Our defense is healthy again. The Lions' offensive line, the biggest question mark going into week 1. It has to be a strength once again. It has been a strength. But with some changes in personnel, it'll be interesting to see how they're going to perform, not only just in week 1, but against what could be one of the better defensive lines that we see this early into the season. There's going to be an interior battle that's going to highlight this game. In my eyes, they're going to be fixed on all 3 of those guys in the middle. If the Lions can dominate the line of scrimmage, or at least just control the line of scrimmage, maybe not dominate, but control, well, then they should likely win the game. Now, I do have some concerns for both sides, but before I get to the concerns, let me ask you guys, what are your concerns of the game? I'd love to know in the comments below, obviously in the chat right now, what is your biggest worry about this weekend's game? Let's move this over here. There we go. Now I can see. All right, my biggest worry is Eric will get rained on. Yeah, he doesn't melt. I think he'll be all right. King SJ says making sure our O-line can win the battle in the trenches is going to be tough. Jack2125 says offense being off right out of the gate, kind of like last year. Ryan Papke says Davenport hurt in the first quarter. Of course you said that. It won't happen. Let me back up a little bit. All right. Willie Ross says, y'all banking what happened last year. Everyone else upgraded. Who's everyone else? Who upgraded? Tell me who upgraded. There's one player that was added to the Packers, and then they lost an adjacent, really good player. You lost your most dominant defensive tackle to get a much smaller outside linebacker in Micah Parsons. I'd rather have the defensive tackle. All day. All day. So not much of an upgrade there for the Packers. I mean, you could say there's a slight upgrade to their defensive end room, but you lost a huge opportunity with that defensive tackle. Kenny Clark was one of the only reasons why we ever struggled in some of those games against the Packers. So without Kenny Clark in the middle, it's not like Parsons is going to go line up at defensive tackle. So if you get past the defensive line, the linebacker still has to be able to bring you down, right? And I'm banking on what happened last year. We brought everybody back, and they're better. A lot of the guys are older, 1 year older. U of M dad says the Bears bought everything off the shelf. They did. The question is going to be, are they going to be able to gel? Right? Are they going to be cohesive? I don't think so. Let's see. James says years older and still young. Yeah, that's a big key though too. All right, let me back up in the chat here. Davenport hurt. Yeah, let me get past that one. Did anyone see the contract details yet? Fully guaranteed because it's still a week 1 signing. No, so Kevin, because it's prior to week 1 for Z, his base salary will be fully guaranteed. His base will be fully guaranteed. I don't know what the base is. He's been in the league for quite a while, so I'm sure his base is probably north of 2 million. I would assume. You keep seeing Thibodeau or Walker talks. What are you talking about, J-Rod? Kurt says, we will prove the doubters that the Lions are the best team in the NFL. 100%. I agree with that. Brad Holmes is arrogant, goofy, shake my head, says Jason B. Okay. All right. I'd be pretty arrogant and goofy too if I was as successful as Brad Holmes with picking these players, but Brad is not arrogant. He just knows what he wants. Right? He's a man that is not understood. See, the problem with being right about things is people hate. the instead of people saying, you know, man, you did a great job or congratulating you because you did something good. Nope. Instead, they want to hate. If they can't be you, they try to tear you down. Trust me, I know. J-Rod says, at will, other YouTube channels bringing up one or the other via trade. No such thing, J-Rod. No such thing. I bet you I know who it is. And I think they have a 7 a.m. start to their show. No such thing. No such thing, buddy. It's all clickbait. It's sad. Man, I thought I fixed this issue the other day by adding some more memory. It didn't work. Like they say, man, it's lonely at the top. Brad's at the top. He's at the top. People are going to hate. But you know what? At some point, the Lions are going to win it all. And then what? What are they going to do? They can go crawl right back into their miserable hole and go hibernate and pout all they want. All right, let's get into a couple of keys for the game. I went over a lot of keys this morning, but I wanted to get into a few more different keys of the game. Packers secondary. They've obviously faced some scrutiny over the past couple of seasons, especially with injuries affecting their depth. Now, if the key players are unable to perform this weekend, it could lead to some mismatches against the Lions. I think the effectiveness of the Packers cornerbacks will be vital in limiting Jared Goff's options. I have yet to see a team that can really take all of our weapons away. If you're going to bracket down Amon-Ra St. Brown, what are you going to do about Jameson Williams? Okay, said the other way. If you're going to bracket down Jameson Williams, what are you going to do about Amon-Ra St. Brown? And now with the emerging threat of Jahmyr Gibbs into the pass game a little bit more, especially lined up as a receiver, that poses a whole new mismatch and a nightmare for defenses to worry about. Now, on the other side of the football for the Detroit Lions, the defensive ends. For the Lions, health and performance of the defensive end play, particularly Aiden Hutchinson, will be critical. If Aiden can return to form, he could wreak havoc on the Packers' offensive line here in week 1. However, if he struggles or lacks any support from the other pass rushers, like Marcus Davenport, the Lions may find it challenging to pressure Love consistently. Now, I will say this. It's not all about the ends. It's really not. Tyleik Williams, in my opinion, is going to be a huge key to this defense this year. And he doesn't have to dominate the stat lines. That is not what a defensive tackle needs to do. Simply said, Tyleik is good at getting after the passer. He's good at shutting down the run. He's nimble enough, to get into the backfield, and he's strong enough to manhandle double teams and still disengage to find a way to get to the running back. He's also a pretty smart dude. He knows how to play the game. I believe between Tyleik and DJ Reader, what you're going to end up finding this weekend is some rush lanes, and guys like Jack Campbell and Grant Stewart and possibly Alex Anzalone are going to find their way into Jordan Love's hip pocket, and they're going to pick it. I expect to see Jordan Love on the ground at least 3 times in this game. 3 sacks. That's my call for the Lions defense. That's another Rock's lock. Whether it's all defensive ends or whether it's defensive ends and linebacker play, I'm seeing 3 sacks. Now, that's a lot, especially in an opening game. going up against a team like the Packers, that's asking for a ton. I probably missed something. Todd, who's TJ? What'd I miss? Let's see. Amparo Alabado says Packers can match their secondary to Lions wide receivers to running backs, and Lions will roll over them. There you go. Oh, TJ Lang. There you go. Yeah, TJ knows his stuff, man. He really does. TJ also being a former Packer, man. I think it's great that he stuck around with Detroit. You know, he's stuck with us. I love watching Tyreek play, man. I'll never get enough. He is so fun to watch. And I can only imagine where he's going to be next year and how much better he's going to be next year. Let me go through a few long-term injuries here. Obviously, Ali McNeil is going to be out till midseason. Levi Onwuzurike is done for the year. Probably won't see him back. Malcolm Rodriguez, again, he's going to be out for about midseason. Graham Glasgow's good to go. Obviously, Christian Watson for the Packers. He's out for the foreseeable future. Josh Pascal, there has not been any word that I've heard on him coming back anytime soon. It was supposed to be before week 1, and it hasn't happened. So now we're getting into, is he just going to be shelved until we need him? You know, I don't know. I don't know who you're going to cut. Obviously, with the Lions cutting Isaac Ukwu, I was a little taken aback by that one, especially when you're looking at depth. But I want to talk about depth too from this perspective. This is just my wild thought process. I did not go back and look. Let me pull it up. Back in. Okay, so it wasn't then. I think it was 23. Yeah, so back in 2023. What was significant about 2023? Can any of you tell me? In 2023, we went all the way to the NFC Championship game. A team that, for all intents and purposes, was not supposed to be there. Right? That's just what a lot of people had felt. Like that wasn't a team that was ready. Or at least it wasn't a team to go, ready to go all the way. And there was a lot of surprises. I mean, I think that team surprised a lot of people with the way that they played. And I don't think that there was an offense the year before in 2022, had the Lions made the playoffs, that wanted to see that defense the way that they were playing. But in 2023, the Lions did something that they did again this year. And I have not gone back to watch really a ton of tape, but I was thinking about maybe popping a few in tonight and see if I can go see anything with our linebackers back then. Because the Lions kept 7 defensive tackles in 2023 on the initial 53-man roster. And only 4 defensive ends. Aiden Hutchinson. Let me go back. I'm sorry. Other way around. 7 edge and 5 interior defensive line. They kept 12 total for the defensive line. Aiden Hutchinson, Charles Harris, John Kaminsky, Josh Paschal, James Houston, and the Aquara brothers. On the interior defensive line, it was Ali McNeil, Isaiah Buggs, Levi Onwuzurike, Benito Jones, and Broderick Martin. So that year they went deep. With defensive line, and it was one of the best years, obviously, for the Lions, the furthest that they went. So this year they did the same thing. They kept 12 overall on the initial. I think it was 12. Maybe it was 11. I think it was 12. Let me just make sure I don't speak wrong here. All right, so we got 9. All right, so this year we kept 9 on the initial, and then we added 2 more guys. So they ballooned up to 11 on the depth chart this year. So 12 back then, 11 this year. We started with 9, then we added Wheat and Lacey. Let's see where we're at today. I know there's been a few moves, not a whole lot with the defensive line, but there's been a few moves. Okay. Right now, the Lions have 4 defensive tackles. 4 defensive ends and 7 defensive tackles. So we're still at 11. The reason why I think it's significant is I think that going deep on the defensive tackles, obviously it means something. When you still have Paschal to come back, you still have Ali McNeil to come back. So there's still more guys that you need to add to this roster over time. There's going to be some guys that end up dropping off. But why did they go so deep at defensive tackle? That's what I want to know. And what are we going to see this year from a scheme standpoint that maybe we haven't seen a whole lot in the past? Are we going to use more of a 5-man front? That's my question. Are we going to go more of a 5-man front? And only 2 linebackers in the middle. 5-2-4. You typically see that around the goal line, or short down, in distance situations. But I would say that there's a reason why that the Lions went deep this year on the defensive line, not just because of injuries and not just because maybe these guys were the guys that they liked, over other guys, because they had to still go out and bring 2 guys in. So I think that their plan all along was to go deep here, but it wasn't just to protect from injury. I think it's a scheme thing. We're going to find out soon enough. When's the last time? Trace, are you asking me a question? When was the last time the Lions went to back-to-back playoffs? I don't think ever. Other than the last 2 seasons. 23 and 24. Well, I like what you guys are saying in here. How Reader is like a wall and Williams is a wall with wheels. I like that. But you're not lying, man. I mean, when you got 660 pounds in the middle of your defensive line, tell me how offenses are going to deal with that. And then you got a 270-pound, 6'7" freak on one side. And then you got a 290-pound physical freak on the other side. They're going to move mountains. This defensive line is stacked. Matter of fact, let's take a look at their weights. got me interested here. Marcus Davenport clocking in at 6'5.5", 285 pounds. 6'5.5", 285 pounds. Aiden Hutchinson. Uh, 6'6.5", 268. He's your speed guy. DJ Reader. 6'3", 6'2.5", 6'3", 330 pounds. And Tyleek Williams. 6'3", 328 pounds. 1,200 pounds of muscle on this defensive line on 4 guys. That's incredible. Hutch looks more cut up. I don't know about heavier, but he looks a lot more cut up. Looks like he added bulk this year. You know, he toned up a little bit. He was hitting that TRT, replacement therapy, while he was off, not having to take drug tests. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. He's taking some SARMs. All right, a couple more insights, and then I'm going to try to take some phone calls and see if this phone line stuff's working. Amik Robertson on Jaden Reed, man. This could be a matchup to watch this weekend. Amik Robertson allowed the 7th lowest completion rate last year in the slot, 58%, 81 targets. 81 targets is what he took last season. And he only allowed a 58% completion rate. 4th most in the league as far as targets. 7th lowest completion percentage. Amik Robertson's an absolute dog. He is projected to match up against Jaden Reed this weekend, which means Terry Arnold and DJ Reed, one of those two, is going to get the primary call on Matthew Golden. The other thing to look forward to this weekend is Jaden. I said this the other day. Jaden Reed in motion. So despite being targeted the 14th lowest rate when in motion, which means when Jaden Reed is going in motion, he's not targeted as often as you would think. He still brought in 26.8. I'm sorry, he brought in the 10th most receiving yards, even though he was targeted the 14th lowest. One of the big stats to pay attention to this weekend is Penei Sewell. Every time that Penei Sewell and Micah Parsons have gone up against each other, it's been epic. But Penei Sewell has allowed a pressure rate of 7.3% since 2022, which is the 8th lowest rank among 58 tackles with at least 1,000 pass block snaps in that span. Now, in that same time frame, Micah Parsons has generated a pressure rate of at least 20%, leading the NFL. Parsons lined up on the left edge 59% of the plays last season, which would be right over top of Penei Sewell. And in 2 career games against each other, Sewell and Parsons have lined up opposite each other on 30 pass plays. Parsons has generated pressure, 6 pressures, good for 20%. Tied for the highest pressure rate Sewell has allowed to any single pass rusher in his career. So you want to talk about an epic matchup. I guarantee you that Penei Sewell doesn't want to allow 20% pressure rate this weekend. Elgton Jenkins, who's injured this weekend. So on the offensive line for the Packers, one of your keys in the game, obviously, is the offensive line versus the defense. Elgton Jenkins is one of the better offensive players, obviously, for the Packers, but 8th lowest pressure rate out of everybody on the offensive line for the Packers. Since entering the league in 2019, he has surrendered only 4.5 sacks at the left guard position, allowing the lowest sack rate by any player with 1,000 snaps. So I don't know. Do you attack Elgin because he's banged up, or based on the fact that the dude doesn't allow anybody to get through, do you stay away from him? Just don't even put anybody over top of him. Go to the outside. Put everybody in the 5 and the 7 and the 9 technique. Put them all on the outside. Another big storyline. Brian Branch going back to Lambeau. You know, if I was Brian, I probably would have I would wear a shirt that had 2 birds on it. You know, just 2 birds on the chest. That's probably what I would have worn. Or maybe 2 birds on the back. The symbolization would have been epic. All right, a few more minutes here. Anything else you guys want to go over? I still have a couple of videos that are going to pop out tomorrow. I was going to try to get them done today, but it's been a day. Trying to get stuff done. Trying to get prepared for the long season. Thing is just, I'm ready for football, man. I am so talked out. I'm done talking. I just want to see it. I just want to see it, man. I'm ready. If I don't go, I'll probably be doing the game stream. So if you guys want to join in, that would be great. We'll be doing some giveaways. So tell your friends. If I am doing the game stream, which I'll put it up tomorrow if I'm not going, then we'll put up some giveaways with it. I know I have at least 3 things that I do want to give away. Oh, I got to show you guys something too. Megan got me something a while ago. She found this old vintage Lions coat. And I tried to look it up. Like, here, I got to go this way with it. This old vintage Lions coat. Look at the writing on the back, or the font. Right? The old vintage Lions. This coat, when I did the math, when I researched it, right, I had to look up the zipper. I tried to check the tag. I mean, it's in mint condition. It said it was 20 years old. Couldn't believe it. 20 years old. Nice coat. So get a new coat to wear this year sometimes. That one's a little bit warmer than the other ones. All right, anything else? Peptide research. James says, I've been doing crazy peptide research. Have I ever looked into them? Which peptides are you talking about? It just depends on which one. Are you talking about GLP-1s? Or are you talking about facial peptides? Za'Darius signed with the Eagles, buddy. Not with us. He's gone. We don't have to worry about that anymore. I've never heard of that one. BCP 157. What the hell is that? No clue what that is. I'll look into it. What's it for? Muscle recovery? We gonna get swole? Awesome. BCPs? Or BBCs? What is it called? BCP? BPC. That's what it's called. BPC 157. We're gonna get spoiled up. Let's do it. Go get you a roll machine. We'll start rolling at 5 a.m. All right, I'm done. It's over, so let's take a couple calls. Let's see if this thing's going to work. Let me line it up here. New phone number will be happening next week. The new phone's on the way. Once it gets here, we'll be able to we'll have the new phone number in line. And just so you know, if you want to lock in both numbers right now, but next week the new number will be 313 podcast. 313 podcast. Just like it sounds. PODCAST. But for right now today, the number is still 313 312 0348. So we'll take a couple of calls right now. If you guys want to call in, whatever you want to talk about. If you want to vent about Za'Darius Smith, I don't care. If you want to talk about this weekend's upcoming game, let's do it. Whatever you want to talk about, bring it. Andre Carter. Who's Andre Carter, J-Rod? Joseph C. says, everyone please hit that like and share button. It's free. You're darn right it's free. It's absolutely free. All right, we got someone calling. All right, you've called Rockhound Detroit Lions. Can you hear me okay? All right, can everybody out in chat land hear the caller? Who's on the line? Kurt, what's happening, man? How you doing? I'm doing wonderful, man. It's Friday night, and we are ever so close to the Lions and Packers game, so I'm excited. Yeah, I guess the caller, the chat can't hear you. Give me one quick sec. So this is why we got to go through this stuff here. Got new machinery, but so he's talking about the back injections and thinking that Micah Parsons may be done over time anyway, right?
Injection yesterday, and I'm already feeling it. And I just got it yesterday at about 12:30 in the afternoon. So, well, actually, it was closer to probably 3 o'clock by the time they got me back there. And I'm already feeling, like I said, some more stiffness and muscle problems.
So it didn't even it's only been a day. Every time I've had them, it takes like a week for them things to kick in.
Yeah, it might kick in later on down the line, but you know, I've had 2 inserts in my neck and 1 in my lower back. And like I said, I know. He's going to pay for it.
So do you think it's going to be a long-term issue?
Oh, if he's got a sprained back and they said he's got problems between the 4 and 5 lumbar. Yeah, that's where they put the insert on me, because mine wound up. It was from an injury over 20 years ago when I fell from a flatbed 11 feet and landed on pavement.
All right, give me 1 sec. So you fell off a flatbed. I want to see if everyone can hear me. Hey,
They're
sounds
watching me.
hey,
I can hear myself
yeah,
now.
yeah. Do me a favor, let's make sure you turn it down in the back. All right, so we're good now. I apologize about that, Kurt. But I just had to add a couple of things to the stream here so everyone could hear you now that you can call in and it's all digital and it's all good. So, look, I've had multiple injections myself, back, neck. They're not fun. L4-5, as you know, if you've suffered any sort of a back injury, L4-5 for probably 99% of Americans is going to give you some trouble at some point. It's called old age. But when you have a back injury, well, that's much different issue altogether. The sprain part, I never heard of a sprain. Mine's always been herniated disc, bulging disc, blown out disc, crushed disc, you name it, or fractured back, but never a sprain. Not in a facet joint anyway. So
right on, man.
All right, so you think that oh, now they got an echo on me. All right, I'll fix that. Hold on. So you think, go ahead and tell us why you don't think that Parsons is going to have an impact in the game.
Well, number one, he hasn't practiced all summer, He's sat out. And he's believing he's going to be able to come in with a back issue, on a shot and stand up to the likes of Penei Sewell or Taylor Decker on the other end. And that's if they even let him play. I don't, I understand he's a great player. He's smart, sort of, and everything, but you don't adapt to another team's schemes and everything in less than a week.
Yeah, the terminology itself is going to be a problem. I mean, you're going from a 3-4 to a 4-3. I think the way that they're going to utilize him is they're just going to put him in a position to win. And that's where I think that the dangerous part of Micah Parsons comes into play is when you tell him, hey, just go get after Jared Goff, that's a problem, right? But if you tell him, if he's got to go in and play to the scheme and react in a certain way, then you're going to get the true, the true, I guess, the reality of Micah Parsons, where he won't be involved in every single play. But for him just to see ball, go get ball, truly just go get Jared Goff, that means our offensive line should know that when he's in the game, he's coming at you and he's coming after Goff. I don't know. I think that could be a problem for us.
But the thing is, if there's any way possible, if he does get in the game and we double team him even on one or two plays, like I said, he's putting himself at risk. If his back's as bad as even, that's, from having the back issues, if it's even a third as bad as what they claim it is, he's going to run into problems this season. He's going to be an expensive lesson that the Packers are going to learn the hard way. That, oh, shit, we should not dump that much money onto one player.
Well, that's exactly why I didn't want to. Hold on.
That's why I love Dad and Brand. Is because they're not, I don't want to say frugal, they're smart. They understand how to build a team. And I also wrote in the comments, we're often imitated but never duplicated, and that's why teams hate on us so much, is because we figured it out. You build a team. You don't go out and buy a team. The Bears are trying to buy a team. That's what it looks like the Packers tried to do, is, spent the bank on one freaking player that, oh yeah, he's injured right off the jump,
I think you're exactly right. I mean, it's something that I've been preaching for a while too.
And that's why I love watching your show.
We try to try to have a little reality, Kurt. Like, we try to live in reality. I mean, you don't just, it's the same business practice, right? If you were to start a business right now, you're not going to go out and buy probably, all the best equipment and the most expensive CEO and the most expensive, bookkeepers. No,
Exactly.
you're going to start from what makes sense, and you're going to slowly build. And when you can afford to have the best and upgrade, that's what you're going to do. But you're going to
Exactly.
draft and develop. You're going to get your interns in. They cost you next to nothing. You're going to build them up, and then you're going to offer them a good wage to try to keep them and start
That's
at
the
the
way.
bottom. You know.
That's the way I live my life, man. I guess I am frugal in that aspect. Most of the stuff I own is used, but it looks brand new. The clothes on my back, same thing. A lot of them come from my wife's the manager of the Mount Pleasant Salvation Army store, and a lot of my stuff comes from there. A lot of stuff I wear, my Lions gear and stuff. But when I purchase it, I make sure it's brand name, top of the line, no flaws, looks like brand new. Some of it has been stuff that's been tagged. Not to get off subject, but that's the way the Lions are building. They're taking young players, developing. Granted with like Hendon Hooker and Roderick Thomas, it it's hit and miss. But all in all, I'd say they're doing a pretty dang good job. And I watch every day on YouTube, different channels and all this, and there's so much clickbait out there. And that's one thing I respect about you're not out for the clickbait.
No, it's easy. Look, it's so easy to do clickbait. I could jump on every day and just start talking out my butt, right? And I think that
And that's what most of them do.
they do. And you know what? I guess if people want to watch it, great. I don't know why. I mean, I guess I don't. I mean, I get it. There's a huge problem in this. I keep saying it every day. There's a huge problem in this country with information, and I think it goes back to, some things that I learned a long time ago, and there was a quote a long time ago that I heard that pretty much said that if you read the newspaper, you're misinformed, right? Because the stuff that they're printing is it's all narrative driven. The same thing with YouTube or any other media outlet. I don't care which media outlet it is. It's just someone's narrative that they're driving that day. And on the clickbait side of it, that's totally different. That's just someone making up a bunch of stuff, driving you down a certain lane, and just trying to make a little bit of money off of, you believing in something and or maybe preying on negativity because for whatever reason we love negativity as humans. I don't get it. But that would be the easy thing to do. The hard thing to do is to try to do it the right way. And I'm not perfect. I'm far from it. But the right way, trying to do it the right way and trying to rebuild truth and transparency and honesty. We're seeing some changes in media slowly. And so something is working, whether I'm involved in it or not, it's starting to slowly work. But it's going to take a long time to try to retrain, I think, Detroit Lions fan base from believing that there's better stuff out there. You just have to find it, but listen to it for a minute and start to listen into the reality of the team and some of us fans that have been around a long time. I'm not a better fan than anybody else. I just fail to believe in the negativity because I think we finally have arrived. And I want to see it stay. And I do know that these players hear the things that we say, especially if they go viral. They of course they see it. And that's you don't want to chase them out of Detroit. We got some good players here. There's some good people here, some good families. And I just don't see a reason why you ever want to be negative. Like, you can be critical, but don't be negative. You know what I mean? It's a difference.
Exactly.
So,
And that's the thing I'm learning too, slowly but surely, because I tend to sometimes with certain teams I get a little too, what do I want to say, boisterous and my Lions, we're going to crush you, we're going to do this, but I've got to learn to stop to look at the bigger picture. Okay, how is this other team set up? Are they really as bad as I'm making them out to be? Are we as good as what I'm hyping us up to be?
I think that's just being a fan. Look, I think that we're going to kick everybody's butt, but
yeah, I look at our schedule this year, and I don't see with what we've got for firepower and everything, and defensively right now, I don't see a reason for us to not maybe go undefeated. I really don't. I don't. You know, everybody's worried about the Eagles. Everybody's worried about the Redskins beating us up again, and you know the Bengals with. And I look at our secondary, and I'm like, okay, yeah, they've got an elite quarterback. They've got some elite receivers, but we've got. I think our secondary might be the best one in the league right now.
Oh, for sure. I 100% believe that. So let me ask you this, Kurt. What is your biggest worry about the weekend? What's your biggest worry about the game? And then what is your, I guess, what would be your biggest call for the game? And then we're gonna try to take another caller yet
Okay,
while
yeah,
we're on.
absolutely. I don't want to tie you up for.
No, you're good.
So
You're good. Feel free to call in
my
anytime.
biggest worry is turnovers. You know, just
Ooh.
if we turn the ball over or we have any miscues, that allows them to, you know, get a jump ahead of us. You know, we saw it in the game against the Redskins.
Yeah.
Or not the Redskins, the Commanders.
Same
Me.
thing.
That tells you how long I've been around.
Yeah.
You know, I grew up, they were the Washington Redskins. I was born in 1970 and been a lifelong fan. So, yeah, it's a hard habit to break. But, you know, that's how we lose games is we turn the ball over, we just our offense sputters, and then, you know, we give them a chance to move the ball.
Right.
I think that's my biggest concern is if we just aren't getting the job done on both sides of the ball.
So, okay, so
We've got to
turnovers.
protect the ball.
So it's both sides of the ball. It's not just offensive, you know, throwing an interception or you know, dropping
Or
a fumble.
fumbling or
It's both
yeah,
sides.
we've got to be sharp all aspects of the game. You know, all our stuff has to click.
I got you. So
You
what's
know
your
that,
so what would be your biggest call of the game? What do you think is going to be like the biggest takeaway? You know, whether it's Jared Goff playing well or, you know, Jameer scoring 3 TDs, like what would be your biggest call of the game?
Looking at their secondary, I think Goff's going to have a big game as long as, you know, with the weapons we've got right now heading out there, as long as everybody can get separation and we can move the ball on the ground, which with Monty and Jameer, I should not be a problem.
All right. Well, you heard it from Kurt, man.
think
Kurt, I appreciate you calling in. Don't be a stranger. And
absolutely not. I watch you damn good every day.
I appreciate it, man.
That I'm able to.
I appreciate it. Well, hey, go Lions, man. We'll be tuning in on Sunday. All right, buddy. Take care.
Yep. Have a good day.
You too, man. Bye-bye. All right, so we got it figured out. I know what I'm doing now with these audio inputs. I didn't know how to do this before. It's a pain in the butt. But I got it figured out. So now we can take calls without even really needing the phone. I just needed a phone just to be able to port the number over, which is dumb. So anyway, we'll be able to do that. Actually, I probably didn't. I probably could have used an eSIM, and I probably could have just attached it to this phone now that I think about it. I might have to call them back. Okay, so biggest worry for him is turnovers, both sides of the ball. Here's my biggest worry. My biggest worry is the third quarter. That's my biggest worry. Nope, it's not defensive coordinator. Nope, it's not offensive coordinator. We still have the same damn team. I mean, those are the guys out there making the plays. Those are the guys out there doing the job, and that's not going to change. And I think we're just fine from that respect. My biggest worry is coming out flat in the third quarter. Do you guys remember, I think I said this morning too, that at a point last season, or the season before that, 2023, teams were giving us the ball in the third quarter. They knew we weren't going to score, right? They knew that we were going to go 3 and out or sputter or turn it over or something stupid. So the third quarter for me, that is my biggest worry about this game. Third quarter. So if you'd like to call in 313-312-0348, we'll go 10 more minutes. We'll take one or two more calls. I'd like to know what your biggest worry is and your biggest takeaway is. Drop it into the chat, obviously into the comments. And do me a favor when you're done, go to the comments section. Not the chat, but the actual comment section. And please drop in a couple of comments about the show. I don't care if it's hashtag Go Lions or hashtag One Pride or hashtag Beat the Pack or, FTP, whatever it is. Just throw something in there after the show. That'll help us out big time. He was talking about, Kurt was calling in about Parsons' back injury, thinking it's going to be a bigger problem for him. I tend to agree that any time that you face a back injury, look, these things just don't go away. They last a lifetime. I never heard of a sprained facet joint before, but I'm also not a doctor. It's just never happened to me. I've had everything else happen to my back. And I know how painful it is, and I know how this stuff doesn't go away, but I'm also not an all-pro athlete in all-pro shape anymore, so I'm sure it's a little bit different. Joseph C. says his biggest worry is that Frank Ragnow's not going to be there. That's kind of funny, by the way, but you're almost going to make me cry because Frank is going to be missed, man. He's going to be missed. I just hope that Graham can hold it down. I really do. I hope he can hold it down and just play, a nice, even game. Not too high, not too low. Just do the right thing. Just do the right thing. After halftime is NFL adjustments, not Lions or Vikes or Bears or the league. I'm not cruising. I'm not following you on that one, buddy. Joseph C., too many rookies on the offensive line. We have one. What do you mean? We have one. Mahogany's technically a second-year player, but I mean, he's kind of a rook. He's only had about 70 snaps out there. Snoopy Lion says it's cliche, but this will come down to turnover battles. Someone will go +2 or +3. Oof. Well, I hope it's not us that goes -2 or -3. Larry Williams says, no fears here. Just want to let these guys play their sport. They all said that they're hungry and want it. Go Lions. Let's see. Maureen says, Jared wasn't even the top 10 most sacked quarterback of 2024. Jeremy Schmecky says, I can't wait, or Shemke says, I can't wait until Ahmed is back. A lot of us would love to see him back. Brian Branch's revenge turnover. That's what Trey says. Brian Branch needs a revenge turnover. It's going to be a revenge tour for Brian, man. He's going to have an opportunity to play the whole game. Here's another worry for me. And this was evident in last night's game, is that these refs were calling an extremely tight football game. There was flags everywhere. But the taunting, celebrating, and taunting are kind of two of the same thing, and they're being flagged now as taunting. So I'm a little bit worried about that one. This is Clete Blakeman we're talking about. We went over that the other day, so I'm not going to beat that horse. It hasn't been as bad as what some may think it has been. It's just A little PTSD for Lions fans, and some of those near playoff games that we could have had. Yes and no, Jack. Yes and no. Yes and no. The league sent out the video league-wide explaining the taunting. Yeah, but you know what's crazy is so what was that one call? Was it Zach Bond that he was on the ground or something close, and then he tackled the dude, and then he jumped up and he was just kind of doing the roar, and just kind of walking towards the guy, and they called that taunting because they thought that he was standing over him. Okay, so if he would have turned his back, like, if the player's here and he would have turned this way, would it still have been taunting? Or did it have been a celebration? Like, do you have to run 10 yards down, the field to go celebrate? Or is that now taunting? Because you ran and made it all about you. You know what I mean? Like, it's a slippery slope. And you know what I think the NFL does? I think that the NFL institutes a way to get involved in the game. You know what I mean? Like, there's just some rules out there that make no sense at all. Like, it shouldn't even be a rule. And I think that those rules exist so that they can say, yeah, it's not close enough to Vegas's odds right now. We've got to try to tighten the ship. You know what I mean? Put on your tinfoil hat. Think about it. Jeremy Shemke says Davenport is the most athletic man on that defense. I don't know about that. That might be going a little too far, but he's athletic. I don't know about the most athletic. I'd probably leave that to Brian Branch, to be honest with you. I think Brian Branch is one of the most athletic guys on this defense. You just bait me into say that, aren't you? Todd Boudry says, beginning of the year is always the worst for calls until settling down. Jack2125 says it's like the targeting foul in the end zone. Many think it should have not been called, but he hit the receiver in the head with the forearm. It's subjective calls that add the controversy. That's another one to talk about. So unfortunately, I didn't watch a ton of the fallout from the game. I didn't get into all the national stuff, which I kind of miss because usually from 7 a.m. to like 11 a.m., that's all I used to listen to or, maybe watch or something if I had time is all the national media. Well, we're live during that time now, so I don't get to hear it. I'd have to go back and watch it. And by the time I go back and watch it, there's other stuff going on. So I don't get to hear it all the time. But I really want to this year. I got to figure out a way to sneak it all in. Maybe I'll just put an extra earbud in. And I'll just listen to something live in this year and then have the other one in the other year for monitoring, I guess. I don't know. All right, we'll hang up the phone. We got 1 more minute. We'll take one more call. You got one minute to call, and then we're going to hang it up. Biggest worries of the game. Biggest takeaway of the game. All right, tomorrow morning, I'm done. So tomorrow morning, I'll drop an article tonight, but tomorrow morning will be the Rocks Locks article. Will be dropping at some point tomorrow morning. which means before 11:59 a.m. That'll be the Rocks Locks for the weekend. So I'll put some calls in there. I'm also going to put in the weekend calls, but most importantly, it's the Detroit Lions season that I'm going to put in there, where I think that these guys are going to end up this year. And if you haven't heard by now, this is what you get during the week. It's game time, Detroit, and you found the right place for the latest Detroit Lions news. So hop on in and take the ride to Super Bowl 60 with Rocked On Detroit Lions. Join Will Rock, Eric Rintamaki, and Riley O'Brien today on the Rise and Grind Morning Show. Good morning. Well, that'll be next Monday that we do that again. But we'll be jumping in on Sunday again. If I'm not going to the game, Riley and I will be streaming it. We'll be doing the post game. We'll be talking about it. Probably get into a pregame show a little bit early so that we can kind of get everything caught up for the game. One other thing that I wanted to put in of note. So Paul Farrington, one of the guests that I've had on a few times, he had Andy Herman on. Andy Herman, Pack a Day Podcast, good stuff. Listen to it this weekend if you guys want to hear the other side. And here's what Andy Herman had to say as soon as I can figure out where I put my article, because it's inside the article. Where's my article? I lost it. There it is. All right, so he said, had the Packers not taken Micah Parsons, he would have had the Lions winning. That tells you something. But now because Parsons is there, Andy Herman thinks the Packers are going to win this game. Now, Paul Farrington, good dude. Really good show over there. They do a great job, him and Ziggy and his other buddy over there. He's like deathly afraid of the Lions being dominant again this year. So I wanted to get Paul back on at some point. He has the Lions winning late in this game. Ziggy has the Packers. Andy has the Packers by 3. And while I have the Lions 27-21. Or I did. I'm going back to 27-17. I think that the Packers are going to be able to get 2 touchdowns and a field goal, but that's it. So 27-17 is my final call. That'll be in the Rocks Locks tomorrow. That's my final call. I had to wait to see, the Friday report. And then again on Sunday, if there's some major injuries or something that happen or, it really changes, then I'll change my idea here of the score. But for right now, it's 27-17. Detroit Lions win this game. And that'll be it for tonight. I appreciate you guys joining me. I apologize about the impromptu. I was just going to do Za'Darius Smith, but it didn't go that way. I figured we might as well just get the rest of it out of the way, and then we'll see about jumping on over the weekend. Otherwise, you can expect some video content, hopefully, that'll be dropping tonight and tomorrow. You guys have a good night. Go Lions. Get some rest. Get ready for Sunday because you're going to lose your voices and you're going to eat too many chicken wings, and that's all okay. So football's back, baby. Let's do it. Go Lions. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Yeah, 1 2 1 2. 1 2 1 2. Mic check. Hey, can y'all hear me out there? Hey. Against all odds. 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 Against all odds.
The podcast.
Shout out to Rockhound Detroit Lions, man.
There
One
you
pride.
go.